So please turn to page 33. So whenever you want to change to standard form, make sure you start with the general, okay? So that's the rule. So you can highlight that, right? This page is about standard form. Standard form looks like this, okay? Y equals to A and then bracket square plus Q. So if you still remember, right, we have seen something like that before, right? The last three questions we did, right? Question D, that's the standard form, right? You have a bracket, square, right? Same with this one, same with this one, okay? So we went from standard form to general. So now we want to know how to go back, okay? And the reason why we want to do that is the standard form is kind of like the linear function, the slope by intercept. Okay, it has more meaning to it. It can help us to graph the satellite faster, okay, instead of making a table of value, right? If you know the standard form, which we'll be learning the meaning of the standard form next week. So right now you just need to know how to turn into standard form first, and then we'll explain how each number can help you find the how to help you draw the graph, okay? So going back is the standard form, going forward, right? Getting the red is the general form. So let's go back to here, right? So let's look at the detail. The standard form has three letters, A, P, and Q, right? And in the bracket, it has to be X minus P. So if it's written like that, then it's called the quadratic function in standard form, okay? APQ, once again, they are constant, right? Constant real numbers. So they could also be decimals, right? So let's go back, okay, and compare the form, okay? I'll copy the form over here, okay? Y equal to A, X minus P, square plus Q. So I'd like you guys to compare this APQ form, right, with each of the D, E, and F, okay, the yellow highlighted part. And then let's find out their APQ, okay? We're gonna write it down here. Let's look at question D first. Okay, look at question D. So what do you think the A is? A should be outside the brackets, right? So what's the value of A? Any?
A is -1.
Yeah, very good. A is the -1, okay? What about P? Angela, what do you think P is?
Uh,
P should be X minus P, right? So here we have X plus 2. So what do you think the P should be?
um,
Any guess?
is it -4?
-4. Okay, let's try, right? This is the way you can try it out. If P is -4, so take a look here. If X minus -4, right? Because it's X minus P, right? You said P is -4. So we would have X minus -4. When you minus a -4, it becomes what?
+4?
Positive 4, right? So it will become X plus 4. Then that's different from the question, right? The question wants X plus 2. So what do you think the P should be?
2?
2. If P is 2, then it will look like X minus 2, right? Because it says X minus P.
Yeah.
But we want X plus 2, not X minus 2.
Oh, sorry, X minus -2.
Yeah, okay. So P should be what?
-2?
-2. Yeah, P is the tricky one. Okay, very good, Angela. Okay, and what about Q, Chris? What do you think Q is?
Q is 1.
1, yeah, very good. Okay, so actually the A and Q, they are the easy one. Okay, A is before the brackets, right? You can see that A is before the brackets. Whatever you see in front is the A, right? And Q is after the brackets, right? So if you see a +1, so Q is the 1, right? +1. The tricky one is the one that Angela did, right? The one inside the bracket, because the P has to be after the minus. So if you see a +2, the P actually has to be -2, right? Because you want to subtract a negative to make it plus, okay? So like this part, I'll write it on the top here, right? You can rewrite it as x minus -2. Okay, so the -2 here, whatever you subtract inside, that's the P. Now to make things easier, okay, you can just reverse the sign, right? If you see a +2 inside, that means P is -2. You flip it, right? If you see a -2 on the inside, then the P is +2, okay? The P is the flipping, okay? Make sure you remember that. So I would like you to try APQ for the next two as well, okay? So please write out APQ for each one. And when you finish, you can raise your hand, okay? Just write down the value, nothing to do, okay? Just look at the form, write out what they are, okay? APQ. Okay, please raise your hand if you finish writing APQ. Remember, A and Q are the easy ones. P, you need to flip, okay? Flip the sign. Please raise your hand if you finished. Okay, Angela, can you tell us your APQ for E?
A is 3.
Yeah,
P is -3,
P you need to flip.
or
Flip the sign.
P is +3.
Yes. And then
Q is 6.
Q is, what is it?
6.
6. Yeah, very good. Okay, so
6.
remember, yeah, just remember the P, you need to flip the sign. Okay, A and Q, what you see is what you get. Okay, and Marcus, can you tell us the APQ for F? Marcus, what's your APQ?
Oh, A is 2,
Yeah,
P is 4,
yeah.
and Q is -5.
Yes. Okay, very good. So now everyone know how to write out APQ, okay? Now the only job is how to go back to standard form, okay? Because usually when you get a question, they are not in standard form, okay? There will be some random form. So you first turn into general form if they are not. Once they are general form, then you turn into standard form, okay? So that's what the next page is about. So I break it down into 3 steps, okay? So you guys can write it down. Step 1 is factor A. Okay, step 2, divide by 2. I'll explain what it means. Okay, factor 8 divided by 2. Step 3 is to balance. Okay, so let's try one question together. So there are two sides, right? The left side, okay, if you compare the two sides, the question on the left side, they all have plus, right? You see this one, the sign is plus, okay? The sign here on the right side is minus, okay? The three steps together is called the complete square. Okay, square is talking about the bracket square, right? Our goal here is to try to make a square, right? A bracket and then a square. That's called completed square. So let's see why it's not complete yet. Okay, it's incomplete. So let's look at the first formula. We saw this on the last page, right? Before the break. If I want to make a bracket square, okay, then we need to have three terms. 1, 2, 3, right? And also if there's an adding, okay, let me use the red circle. Okay, if there's adding, then you get the adding. Okay, let's look at the formula first. Same thing with the right hand side. Okay, let's shift to the right side. If I want to create a square, right, a bracket square, I also need three terms, right? 1, 2, 3. And if there's a subtraction, then the bracket will have a subtraction, okay? So left side and right side are a similar idea, just using different sign, okay? So we'll go over the left side and then you can try the right side, right? So I would like you to compare the formula, the one on the right side, terms, and compare with what we have in the question, which is 2 terms, right? So it's incomplete, right? We need 3 of them to make it a square, right? Make it a bracket square. It's a little bit messy right now, okay? I'm gonna erase the circle there, okay? So it's not too messy, all right? So compare the yellow with the yellow, okay? And I'm going to write the formula underneath. Actually, I will put it above, okay? So you can compare. So a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. So if you compare top and bottom, you only have the first and second, right? So a is like the x, right? The question has x squared. The formula has a squared. So that's telling us that a is the x, right? So if a is the x, then the middle one, okay, should be, okay, so we'll have x squared, right? X squared plus 2ab plus b squared, right? This is the formula. We know a is the x. So that means 2a, a will be x. So the second bracket here will have x. Then what should the b equal? So then the middle one will match. What I mean middle one is this one. 4x needs to match the middle one. What should we put inside the b? So then the middle one will become 4x then. Anyone?
2.
2, very good. Okay, so if I put 2 into here, then 2x times 2 will be 4x, right? So now we know the b has to be 2. So we know at the end we need to add a 2 square. Okay, so this is called completed square, right? We need to find a missing term, okay, to add it on. So it becomes 3 terms, okay? So we have 3 terms now. And now I want to rewrite this, okay? So this thing should happen in the head, right? So I'll rewrite it again, okay? So when you get a question, right? The first line, you write it as x squared, right? Plus 4x, this is the original question. And then we need to add something at the back, right? So I will add a 2 square at the back, right? So previously, right, previous line explained to you y is 2, okay? But when you're actually writing the question, you don't need to write out so many brackets. You just go straight to this line, the one with the arrow, okay? So the reason why we need a 2 is you take the middle number, this 4, divided by 2. Okay, then you know you need to add a 2 squared. Okay, so if the middle term is a 6, then you will add a 3 squared. If the middle one is a 10x, then you need to add a 5 squared. Okay, is that clear? So now you have 3 terms, right? So let's put that in brackets. Okay, so that's called a divide by 2. Okay, that's why in the step 2 we have divide by 2. First step is factor A, but then for this one, the front, right, the 1 is only a 1. If you factor the 1 out, it doesn't change. We'll worry about step 1 later, okay? So right now you just look at the middle term, you need to divide by 2. Now the green part, the 2 squared is something we added in, okay? Okay, do you understand everything up to now? Questions so far? Raise your hand if you understand up to here. Okay, so the number you add depending on what's in the middle. Okay, now the next thing is to balance, right? Remember step 3 is called balance. Balance means to cancel out what you added in, right? You added an extra 2 squared, so you need to subtract the 2 squared. Okay, so that's called a balance. Okay, so you can write it down. Now we have completed the 3 terms, right? So we can complete a square. So based on the formula, right? A is the x, so I write x. B is the 2, so I write 2. And because it's adding, right, for the between the first 2 terms, so I'll be adding, okay? Adding here means you get adding in the bracket, okay? And then put a square. So that's called complete the square. And the part that's outside the bracket, you have a 2 squared, so you have minus 4. So that is your standard form. Okay? So we just went from general form to standard form. Okay, the one you had at the beginning, right? This one is the general form. This one is the standard. Okay, and what's the APQ now? Okay, let's double check the APQ. So can I have Evan, can you tell us what's the APQ for this one?
The A is, I think A is 1. A is 1.
Yep.
The Q is -4. P is I'm not quite sure for P for this
What
one.
number do you see inside the bracket?
2.
And you flip it, flip the sign.
Oh, so it's -2.
Yes, very good. Okay, so very simple, right? If you remember to flip, okay, that's all you need to do to get P. Okay, so that's APQ for the first one. Okay, so I'd like you guys to try the question on the right side now. Okay, it's very similar. The only difference is the sign. Okay, instead of adding, we have subtracting. Okay, so do the same thing. Okay, you can go directly like from here, y equals, okay? Let you try that. You don't need to do the many brackets part, okay? You just do the one with the green arrow, right? You see the green arrow, it goes straight to here, okay? Don't do this step, okay? Don't do the one I cross out. The crossing out part is to explain why the B is 2, okay? But when you're actually doing the work, you just directly take the middle one divided by 2, okay? That's the one you added in, okay, to complete. So raise your hand if you get the standard form, okay, for the right side. Anyone has questions? The green part is always adding, okay? Always add. And then the outside is always subtract, right? You want to balance. Okay, if you have finished the standard form, you can raise your hand. Or even if you get stuck, okay, you can raise your hand too. So you can keep moving on, all right? The first question is always the hardest. Okay, Harry, can you tell us what do we need to add inside?
I can't tell if it's 1 or 2.23.
Where did you get 1 or 2.23?
2.23 times 2.23 is 5, but
2.23 times 2.23 is 5. We are not doing the, you did square root, huh? I think. Not
yeah,
square root. You need to divide by 2, right? Remember, step 2 is divide by 2.
2.5
Yeah.
squared.
Yeah, okay, so that's all you need to do. Plus 2.5 squared. Okay, term. Okay, you don't know about plus or minus because when you square, it's gonna be positive anyway. Okay, so just take the 5 and then divide it by 2. That's how you get the number 2.5. Okay, and then to balance. Jenny, how do you balance?
It should be the same as the green number, so it's 2.5 squared, right?
Yep, very good. Okay. So now it's complete, right? Instead of 2 terms, now we have 3 terms in the brackets, right? So it's completed. Now we can turn that into bracket square, okay? So what should go inside the bracket now? Ivy?
X minus 2.5.
Yep, very good, okay? You just grab the A, grab the B, right? A is the X, B is the 2.5, put it in the middle. And if you see a minus, then the bracket will be minus, okay? And then outside, what's outside then? 2.5 squared. What is that, Brendan? Brendan, are you there? Yeah.
Positive plus 5.
Square. We are doing
Yeah,
square. How do you square?
Square both numbers.
How do you square 2.5?
6.25.
6.25. And should it be positive or negative?
Positive,
Why?
because there's a subtraction. There's a
The,
subtractance.
okay, the square
Sorry.
doesn't affect the
Sorry. -2, since it's a -2.5, 2 negatives equals a positive.
Okay, so you will be correct if there is a bracket, right? If the square affects this one, because there's no bracket, so the square only affects the 2.5. Okay, so be careful here. So the minus will stay there. The minus does not get repeated. Okay, only the 2.5 will repeat. Okay, multiply by itself. Understand, Brendan?
Yes.
Okay, so the difference is these two, right? You have 2.5 squared and then the negative 2.5 squared. These two are different. One has a bracket, one doesn't. The question we have, it doesn't have brackets. Okay, so our A will be 1, P will be 2.5, Q is the outside, okay? Negative 6.25. Okay, if you guys finish question A over here, can you raise your hand? Okay, anyone has questions? Any? Are you done? Question A?
Yeah, I am.
Yeah, okay, then you can raise your hand. All right, so now let's go back to the left side, okay? So compare question A and B. The biggest difference is it has a plus 19, right? Has an extra term. So don't be scared, right? Nothing to worry about here. The plus 19, we can just ignore it for now, okay? Pretend it's not there. Then the question looks just like question A, right? So I'd like you to do the same question and then follow the same step, okay, using the first two terms, okay? Don't write out the standard form yet. Just do the first line, okay? And then you can raise your hand once you finish the first line, okay? And then I will tell you what to do with the 19. So do the same thing as what you did before in the last two questions, okay? Ignore the 19, pretend it's not there. Okay, so raise your hand if you finish the first line, first step. Okay, very good. Okay, let's check. Can I have Marcus? Can you tell us what you got so far? Marcus, what's your first line look like?
I got y equals x squared plus 6x plus 3x.
Plus 3x. 3, you need to put a square.
Uh,
Okay? Yeah, no x.
Yeah.
Just take the middle one and then balance. How do you balance?
negative 3 squared.
Yes. Okay, very good. All right, so that's everything we've learned so far. And remember I told you to pretend 19 is not there, right? Now we need to put the 19 back, okay? So erase the crossed out. So what you need to do is just to take the 19 and put it at the back, okay? So plus 19, because 19 is part of the question, right? We only pretend it's not there for a moment, right? But it actually should be there. So after that, same thing, right? The completed part, we put a square. Inside, you grab the A, you grab the B, and because it's adding, so we put plus. Okay, so x plus 3, whole thing square. And then the whole thing at the back, you can simplify it. So minus 3 squared plus 19. Okay, what do you get? Jenny, what do you get for the green underline?
You get 10.
Yep, very good. So make sure you write plus 10, okay, instead of just the 10 there. So now you have the APQ, okay? So also write out the APQ. So Chris, what is the A?
The A is 1,
P, what's P?
-3.
And Q is the 10, right? Okay, so same thing. Please do question B on your own now, okay? So there's a -2 extra, right? So do that, put that at the very end. So when you get the APQ standard form, you can raise your hand. Pretend -2, not there for now. Remember to raise your hand. All right, so let's quickly go over this one. Can I have Harry? Can you tell us what you got for the first line?
X squared minus 3x plus 1.5 squared bracket minus 1.5 squared.
And then? And then? There's more.
And then, oh, and then -2.
Yes, very good. Okay, and then we can complete the square. How do you write out the result? Jiawen?
Y equals
Mhm.
bracket x minus 1.5 square
Bracket square
minus 5.
minus 5. How did you get the 5? 1.5 square. How do you do 1.5 square? Square means times itself, okay? 1.5 times 1.5, not times 2. I think you did times 2. Let's try again.
Mm, 0.25.
0. What?
25.
0.25. Okay, can you tell me what's 1.5 square? Just 1.5 squared.
Or 2.25.
2.25. Okay, remember the square doesn't make the negative go away, so it's still negative 2.25. Okay, and then minus 2. So what would that be?
Negative 4.25.
Yeah. Okay, so be careful on the sign. Okay, because getting the right standard form is gonna affect everything else, right? Next we will be learning what does APQ tell us about the graph. Okay, so you can practice over the week, right? How to get APQ correctly. Okay, now the APQ. Brandon, what's the APQ here?
A would be 1.
Yep.
P would be 1.5, but no, positive 1.5.
Yep.
And Q would be negative 4.25.
Okay, very good. Okay, we're almost done. Okay, I know it's a little bit over time because this is our first week. We had to go over some other things at the beginning, right? All right, so let's go to question C. Okay, question C is a bit different now because now you have an extra 2 at the front. So that's the A value I was talking about, right? There's an A in front in general form, right? A is a 2, B is the 8, and C is 0, right? This one, this is general, okay? So if you have an A equal to something other than 1, right? So far, all the question, the A is always 1. Then you need to do factor A, or step 1. Step 1 is factor A, and then you do divide by 2 and then balance, okay? So let's take a look how to do factor A. So this is the A, okay? You can write it down. So we take the A out, right? Take it out means you divide, okay? You divide each one of them by 2. So 2 divided by 2 is no longer there, so it'll be x squared, right? 8 divided by 2, that will give you a 4, so plus 4x. Okay, so you can see that if you multiply back in, you will get the same question back, right? Then you know you factor it correctly, okay? So after that, whatever you see inside is you do the same thing as before. Now, after factor A, right, this step is called factor A, and then you take this, divide by 2, right? So you add 2 squared, right? Same as before. You just need to do an extra factor A. And then finally balance. So minus 2 squared. This is the balance. However, because the A that you factor out, right, is gonna affect the 2 squared that you added in, right? So when you balance, you need to multiply by the 2 as well. So this one deserves a star, okay, right? A lot of people forget to multiply by 2 when you balance. So this one, because you took out the A, so when you balance, you need to also include the A in the balance. Okay, do you get it so far? Can you raise your hand if you understand this? Okay, remember you need to balance with the A on the outside. Okay, once you get there, the rest is easy. Okay, 2 stays outside, bracket square, completed square. We have A and B, and adding in the middle. Now the part you balance, you need to calculate together, right? 2 squared is 4, 4 times 2 is 8, so minus 8. So that's your standard form. With A equal to 2, P is negative 2, right? Flipping, Q is negative 8. Okay, so please try question C, okay, by yourself. Let me know if you have questions, okay? Factor A, okay, question C, the A is the negative 0.4, okay? You need to take that out. Okay, try it by yourself. So raise your hand when you finished. Anyone has trouble so far? Factor the negative 0.4 means you divide by negative 0.4, okay? Anyone else finished? Okay, Ivy, can you tell us what you got in the bracket?
X cubed plus 1.2x plus 0.6 squared.
Okay, now when you factor, it will affect the thing inside, right? Take a look at here. We take out the 2, right? Previous question, we take out the 2, but the inside is no longer 8x. It will become 4x. Okay, Ivy?
Oh,
Right, because when you take out, factor the 2 out, you need to divide by 2. Divide by the thing that you take out. Okay, so let's go back and try again, okay? Hold on, okay. So if we take out the negative 0.4, then the 1.2 you also need to divide by negative 0.4. So can you tell me what you get? Yeah,
3.
positive or negative?
Negative.
Yeah, okay. It's 1.2 divided by negative 0.4. So it'll be minus 3x. And then you go from there to do the adding. So what do we need to add then?
1.5.
Yeah, 1.5, okay? You use the 3 to do the divide by 2, okay? So 1.5 squared, okay? So remember that. And then now the balance. Can I have Angela? How do we balance now?
Subtract 1.5 squared
Mm-hmm.
and then multiply by negative 0.4.
Very good. Okay, so remember you need to multiply the negative 0.4 you take out at the beginning. Okay, so after that is pretty straightforward. A is x, B is 1.5. You have a subtract in the middle, square. Now the outside, Brandon, do you have the number on the outside?
0.144.
0.144. Positive or negative?
Positive.
Positive 0.144. Okay, let me check. Okay, does anyone have different?
I do.
Okay, what do you have?
I got negative 0.9.
Negative 0.9. Okay. Anyone else? Evan or
I got 144.
positive 144?
Yeah.
Positive 1.144. How about Chris? How about you? Double check. Everyone check your
I
calculator.
got negative 0.9.
Oh, okay. So about half, huh? Okay, so let's break it down. Okay, how to do this properly. The 1.5, right? Let's square that. Okay, 1.5 squared. What do you get?
Oh, I'm gonna change my
Negative 2.25.
Yeah, negative 2.25. Okay, and then you times it by negative 0.4. So we know the answer should be positive, right? So so negative, negative, positive, and then 2.25 times 0.4. Yeah, it should be a 0.9, except it's positive. Okay? So actually it's mix of your answers, right? Positive 0.9. Okay, are we good? Any questions? Okay, if you have no trouble here, can you raise your hand? Okay, one more question, then we can go, right? Question D, we have a fraction, because in the homework, you also have fraction. So if the question has fraction, please do all the work into, okay? Don't turn into decimal, okay? So same thing, the A will be 2 over 5. So we want to take out 2 over 5. Okay, so leave the 2 over 5 on the outside. So do the same thing, right? So please try this out. Raise your hand when you finished. Okay, last question, right? If you can do this one, it should be okay for the homework. You guys remember to read the notes, okay, before you start doing the homework, okay? And this is quite complicated. So make sure you have the notes beside you, okay? Otherwise, you will get a lot of corrections to do later. Okay, make sure you go over the notes before you begin. Okay, so if you divide it by, this one has a +3, right? So pretend the +3 is not there for the moment. Need to divide, remember to divide by 2 over 5. Is there anyone stuck here? Okay, Marcus, do you know what comes after x squared?
I'm still working on it.
Okay, let me know when you found it, okay? The number after the x squared. Or you can let me know if you don't know how to get that.
I don't know how to get it.
Okay, the number after the x squared is, you need to divide by what you take out, okay? The middle term is a 2, right? See the 2 in the middle?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you write the 2 divided by what you take out. What did you take out?
2 over 5.
Okay, so you do that on the side, okay? Can you divide those two numbers and tell me what you got? Actually, it's a -2, okay? -2 divided by 2/5.
Would it just be -1/5?
-1/5, no. How do you divide fractions? Can you tell
Would it be reciprocal?
which one needs a reciprocal?
The 2/5.
Yeah, so how do I write it?
Negative
-2,
over 1.
yeah,
Times 5/2.
yeah. And then,
And you can cross multiply.
not cross multiply, reduce.
And turn the -2 and the 2 into 1.
Yeah,
And then 5/1.
negative.
-5/1.
Yeah, so -5, right? So your middle term after the x squared will be -5x. Okay? Okay, so what should we do next after the -5x? Any?
Plus 2.5 squared. I mean 1 point. Yeah, 2.5 squared.
We'll keep it in fractions, so 5/2 squared. Okay, and then how do you? Yeah.
Subtract 5/2 squared times 2/5 plus 3.
Plus 3, very good. Okay, I'm glad you didn't forget. Okay, so plus 3. Okay, so finally we just write it out in brackets. Okay, you guys keep on going. I only have 5 people raising the hand. Oh, okay, most of you done. Okay, let's have Ivy. Can you tell us what's happening now? What's next in the bracket?
X plus X plus 2 and 1/2.
Okay, so just write 5/2. Yeah. And then square.
In bracket square.
Yeah.
And plus 1/2.
Outside is 1/2. Okay. All right. Anyone got different? Evan, how about you? Do you have anything different?
I'm redoing the question because I messed up in the first step.
Okay.
So
How
I'll
about
have to redo it.
How about Waylon? Anything different here?
I think I got, I'm not sure if this is correct. I got 3
3
for
where?
or at the end.
For the Q. You have a 3 for the Q.
Yeah.
Okay. How about Jenny?
I got the same answer as Ivy.
Ivy. Okay, so everything the same. Okay. Chris, how about you? There's a little mistake though. A little thing.
I got the same as Ivy.
Same? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can anyone see any mistake here? There's a one little mistake.
Is it -5/2?
Yes, very good. Thank you. So this one, remember, okay, this is easy to overlook. Okay, if you have a minus, yeah, then this should be a minus sign in the middle. Okay, so be careful on that. Okay, for homework. So it should be 1/2. Okay, so make sure you calculate the outside carefully. Okay, yeah, so not 3. All right, so I think that should be it. Thanks for staying so late. Okay, you guys are great. And then later I'll post the homework. Okay, later today you can go on check on Google Classroom. And if you need to review the class, the videos will be there too. Okay, or you can leave the question. All right. So I'll see you next week. Thanks for coming. Bye bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. Bye bye.